Hi everybody, and welcome to Movie Recaps with Brit. Today, we will be looking at a movie titled Porn. Without further ado, let's get started. The movie commences with the China-Korea summit, where the ministers engage in a serious conversation. Seung-yi, an attractive Korean girl, serves as the interpreter, and receives commendation from everyone during the break for her exceptional performance. Although she appears content, her internal state is contrasting. As it turns out, Seung-yi is experiencing her initial day on the job and has never encountered such important ministers before. Sunny is experiencing extreme anxiety due to the fear of making a mistake. In an attempt to ease her nerves, she goes to the restroom. However, she receives a call from her uncle Jong-bae, who informs her that he has discovered the person they have been searching for over the last decade. Upon hearing this news, Sunny's disposition transforms instantly, and she departs the conference in progress and proceeds directly to the airport. The movie transitions to the past, specifically to 1993 in Incheon, Korea, where we encounter two ex-army officers who currently function as debt collectors. Jong-bae and Doo-seok are strolling through the streets, and we discover that they have been single since their time in the army, leading them to reside together. Doo-seok retains the position of chief and still commands Jong-bae. After a while, they come across Myung-young, who has not settled her debt for the preceding 2 months. As soon as Myung-young becomes aware of their presence, she promptly flees with her 9-year-old daughter, Seung-yi. However, the duo quickly apprehends her and reprimands her for the $750 debt. Myung-young tries to garner sympathy by explaining that her husband's demise caused her tardiness, but the duo isn't receptive to her pleas. Instead, Doo seizes the young daughter and declares that he will only relinquish her once the payment is made. Consequently, little Seung-yi becomes a pawn. As they depart, she cries out for her mother, but a heartbroken Myung-young can only observe, as if something is restraining her. Subsequently, a distressed Myung-wae proceeds to the garage where her husband was previously employed. She appeals for financial assistance, but the proprietor berates her and refers to her as an illegal immigrant. We discover that Myung-yin is, in fact, a Chinese national who has entered South Korea illegally. Upon her departure, the proprietor discloses that her husband absconded with another woman. Meanwhile, Doo-seok attempts to console little Sunny by giving her a toy, but it proves futile. In a different location, Myung-wae arrives at a telephone booth and contacts someone for aid. Fortuitously, the individual on the other end consents to send funds. Consequently, she promptly contacts Doo-seok and apprises him that she has the money and will deliver it the following day. Just as Myung-wae believes that her problems are resolved, 2 police officers abruptly arrive and apprehend her for being an illegal immigrant. In the succeeding sequence, Doo-seok and Jong-bae arrive home, and he allocates a room for the little girl to sleep in. Later, Jong-bae frets over the possibility of Myung-wae reporting the incident to the authorities, but Doo-seok assures him that she won't, given her status as an illegal immigrant. On the following day, Doo-seok and Jong-bae are reprimanded by their boss for taking the girl. He then instructs them to bring back the girl immediately and collect the owed money. After receiving the command, Jong-bae and Doo-seok try to escort the little girl, but they get stuck in traffic. At this moment, Seung-yi senses the chance and runs away. A frantic chase ensues, but the little girl manages to outsmart the duo and makes her way back home with only one shoe. However, she is disheartened to find the house empty with no sign of her mother. Later, Doo-seok receives a phone call from the police station and discovers that Myung-yi is in their custody. Upon arriving, he confronts Myung-yi about the money but learns that she is being deported to China. Nonetheless, Myung-wae provides Doo-seok with her brother-in-law Choi's contact number, who has agreed to pay the debt and take care of the little girl. Before leaving, she gives Doo-seok a pager and a photo of her with Seung-yi, expressing her emotions. Meanwhile, Seung-yi packs her belongings and leaves a note for her mother saying that she will find her. Doo-seok arrives after she has already left and discovers the note. On the other hand, Seung-yi wanders alone on the streets, hoping to reunite with her mother, oblivious to her deportation. As night falls, she enters a deserted part of the city, and a homeless man suddenly tries to abduct her from behind. Luckily, Doo-seok arrives just in time to save Seung-yi from the homeless man. After the incident, he informs the little girl that her mother has left Korea, which causes her to break down in tears. Doo-seok also gets emotional, and they both return home to wait for Seung-yi's uncle to come. Over time, Seung-yi becomes more comfortable with Doo-seok and Jong-bae, who are enjoying spending time with her as they never had a family of their own. They all have a great time together. However, one day, Seung-yi's uncle calls Doo-seok and tells him that he will be taking her away the next day. Despite feeling sad about it, Doo-seok and Jong-bae decide to make Seung-yi's final day with them a memorable one. Later, they go out and purchase a beautiful dress for Seung-yi, which brings a smile to her face. While on their way back, the little girl playfully gives Doo-seok the nickname Park Soon-bo. That night, Jong-bae tries to cheer Seung-yi up with a farewell cake, but she doesn't seem interested since she doesn't want to leave her uncle's. The next day, Doo-seok accompanies Seung-yi to the bus stop to meet her uncle. He gives Seung-yi a pager and encourages her to contact him if she ever needs help. He also buys her a CD player so that she can listen to her favorite artists. Overwhelmed with joy, Seung-yi hugs Doo-seok tightly. Just then, Seung-yi's uncle, Choi Byung-dol, arrives and introduces himself, claiming to have met the little girl before but is unable to recall her name. Seung-yi's uncle is a stranger to her as well. Despite Choi paying off the debt and taking Seung-yi away, Doo-seok and Seung-yi are both unhappy about the separation. As time goes on, Doo-seok becomes increasingly distracted and misses Seung-yi terribly. He tries to contact Seung-yi and Choi, but he doesn't receive any replies. Concerned, he manages to find Choi's address and confronts him. Initially, Choi, who appears to be drunk, assures Doo-seok that Seung-yi is doing well, but when Doo-seok becomes aggressive, he reveals that Seung-yi has been sold to a woman for just $300. Upon learning about Seung-yi's fate, Doo-seok scolds Choi to obtain any leads about Seung-yi's whereabouts, but the latter is clueless. As he leaves, he takes Seung-yi's backpack with him. In the subsequent scene, we witness Seung-yi working at a bar under the command of the mistress, who assigns her various chores, including cleaning the dishes and the toilet. Despite being young, Seung-yi fulfills her tasks diligently without any complaints. Later, she sneaks into her room, steals a phone, and sends a message to her mother, urging her to come soon. Meanwhile, Doo-seok discovers the pager in Seung-yi's backpack and receives her message. He quickly responds to her message by sending his number, but he forgets to include the area code. Consequently, when Sunny receives the message and tries to contact them, she is unsuccessful. Meanwhile, at the bar, Sunny is injured when a drunk man shatters his glass against the wall. Although the injuries are severe, the mistress simply applies makeup to the little girl's wounds. After realizing his mistake, Doo-seok leaves another message and patiently waits for a response. A few moments later, Seung-yi finally calls, crying and revealing her location, which worries Doo-seok. He immediately sets out to the location along with Jong-bae. Upon arriving at the bar, Doo-seok and Jong-bae are taken aback by Sunny's condition. Without wasting any time, Doo-seok uses his bare hands to break the glass door and rescue Sunny, who clings to him tightly. He then confronts the mistress and scolds her for making a child work. After that, he takes Sunny directly to the hospital. When he learns that she needs minor surgery to fix her cuts, he sells his car to cover the expenses. After a few weeks, when Sunny has fully recovered, Doo-seok attempts to enroll her in school. However, the principal refuses since she is not a Korean citizen. Consequently, Doo-seok legally adopts Seung-yi and becomes her father from that day on. Sunny starts living a normal life, attending school regularly, and excelling in her studies because of the unconditional love from her father and uncle. As time passes, Seung-yi has graduated from college, and Doo-seok still picks her up on his motorcycle after class. On one occasion, Myeon-hye shows up, but seeing her daughter happy, she leaves without speaking to her. In another scene, Doo-seok becomes worried when Sunny doesn't come home on time one night. Later, a man brings Sunny home on his back. As she is too tired to walk, Doo-seok interrogates the man, but soon realizes he is a good person who will become a doctor soon. Meanwhile, Sunny's grandmother calls Doo-seok, asking him to visit her gravely ill mother in China. Doo-seok immediately takes Sunny to see her mother, showing his kind and caring nature. Upon meeting her mother, they both become overwhelmed with emotions and start crying. After some time, Myeon-hye expresses her gratitude to Doo-seok for taking care of her daughter. Doo-seok also learns that Myeon-hye has only a few days left before passing away. Before parting ways, Myeon-hye asks Doo-seok to find Sunny's father so that they can meet one day. Doo-seok notices Sunny's father's tattered shoes and decides to buy him a new pair. To earn the money to pay for them, Sunny works at a factory and lies to her father, saying that she's on a school trip. After earning enough money, she buys the shoes. Doo-seok is working hard to fulfill Myeon-hye's dying wish to reunite Seung-yi with her father. While doing so, he experiences a sharp headache, but he chooses to ignore it. Eventually, he locates Seung-yi's father and discovers that he has moved on and started a new family. Nonetheless, Doo-seok keeps his promise and helps Seung-yi reconnect with her estranged father. Later, as Seung-yi has an emotional reunion with her biological father, Doo-seok returns home, anxious that she may choose to live with her father instead. However, his stress dissipates when Seung-yi calls him dad for the first time, bringing a smile to his face. She requests Doo-seok to come and pick her up, and he happily agrees. However, while driving, Doo-seok experiences the same sharp pain in his head, causing him to lose consciousness. Meanwhile, Seung-yi waits for him, unaware of the situation. The story then returns to the present, where Seung-yi and her uncle Jong-bae have been searching for Doo-seok for the past 10 years. They eventually arrive at the location where Doo-seok is believed to be, but they discover that it is not him. Feeling heartbroken, they decide to return home. On the way back, Seung-yi sees the same sign she saw as a child and asks the police for information about it. The police officer informs Sunny that there is no record of anyone named Doo-seok in the city. Sunny then recalls her father's nickname, Park Seung-bo, and asks the officer to look for it. To their surprise, there is a person with that name at a mental institution. When they arrive, they find out that Doo-seok is suffering from a neurological illness, which has left him unable to speak. However, he manages to communicate by writing 2 words in his diary, Park Seung-bo and porn. Thus, they start referring to him as Park Seung-bo. They finally reunite with Doo-seok after a decade. Witnessing his pitiful state, both Seung-yi and Jong-bae become overwhelmed with emotions and start crying. Although Doo-seok doesn't recognize the duo, he still holds on to Sunny's favorite CD player. A tearful Sunny prepares to give him the shoes she bought for him years ago, but to her surprise, she discovers that Doo-seok has been saving money for her future. Overwhelmed with emotions, she embraces her father tightly, pledging to care for him. Doo-seok also sheds a tear, as if he recalls his daughter, and the movie concludes. Thank you for watching our movie recap. While it may seem simple, it actually took a lot of hard work and dedication to produce. If you enjoyed the video, we kindly ask you to show your support by liking and subscribing to our channel. By doing so, you'll stay updated on our latest content and help us continue creating more in-depth analyses and critiques of the movies you love. Thank you again for your support.